Go to the other half of the education equation, and that's the post-secondary or the higher levels of education. So the UW system, the technical college system, and what are your thoughts there about what's going right, what needs to be changed?
Sure. Well, I can say, first of all, I taught at UW Oshkosh last year as an instructor in the political science department, and really got me familiar with the university. I was very impressed both with the faculty and with the students, and I had a lot of discussions with students about their experience with higher education, the cost, working full-time, whether they're going to be able to get through in 4 or 5 or 6 years. And so I recognize that these are people who are trying to better themselves, and we need to make sure we do everything to keep it as affordable as possible. The other thing I would say is that the university as an investment is a revenue enhancer, meaning that a dollar we spend on the university has a dollar outcome that we all benefit from. One of the biggest problems with the state budget is we have 5 big programs: medical assistance, Medicaid, Badger Care, the university system, state shared revenue for cities, K-12 education, and corrections. Of those 5, only 2 really are discretionary, meaning money that we can use. If we cut shared revenue, local property taxes go up. If you cut K-12 education, either local property taxes go up or we face cuts. And with medical assistance, we get money from the federal government to match. Well, you're left with the university and the corrections system. And that doesn't give us, that's why you've seen cuts to the university budget so much. We need to, just because we have tough budgets doesn't mean we can't have some sort of plan for what we want out of our university. Get back to something like the original Wisconsin idea, where we have a goal or an outcome that we want in terms of what we're trying to produce or how we're trying to link the university with the economy. And I think Chancellor Wells has been a real leader here at the local level. He's been very aggressive in terms of marketing the university as part of the economy, as the incubator for Northeast Wisconsin. His Grow Wisconsin initiative, I think, is a great idea to get more college degrees here. I mean, we know we have a lower percentage of people that have a college degree in Wisconsin than the national average. We know that's going to be more important as more of the jobs that we have require skills and education. I will say this. The kind of investments that we're talking about making in the future of higher education will not be possible if we have proposals similar to what my opponent supports with Tabor or the constitutional amendment on taxes. And so, we need to look at first, cutting the university has consequences because this is a revenue enhancer. Second, just because we have tough situations doesn't mean we can't have a plan. And I think we need to get more legislators that recognize the university as an investment and fewer legislators that are taking opportunistic, times to bang on the university, like Representative Steve Nass. Every time there's something negative being brought up, he just sits there and pounds away. And I think that's a detriment to the dialogue about how we're going to maintain, an affordable, quality higher education.
Julie?
I agree with your last statement. I think dialogue that includes attacks on either institutions or people or parties are not helpful. People do bring different ideas to the table with them, and this is another issue where the ultimate goal is the same. How you get there is different. And the university here in Oshkosh is a treasure. The technical college system, the 2-year system in the state, the entire university system is a treasure for the city, for the state. We have neglected that treasure in the last few years. I guess we as a state, and it's not because of a lack of commitment, but we do. As I go door to door, the issues that I hear are contradictory. So there is no easy answer. I hear teachers who are home for the summer saying we need more money to buy supplies. I hear retired people who are afraid they're going to have to move out of their house because their property taxes are going too high. I talk to everybody in every area, the Winnebago Mental Health or the Wisconsin Resource Center. Everyone needs or wants more, and those who have to pay are wanting to pay less. So here we are, 2 candidates. I am just approaching this in a practical way. We can't just keep increasing taxes. We can't. We have to approach this responsibly and reasonably. And I guess that's my response to the Tabor TPA. I know there's a lot of hype out there that it crippled Colorado. We begin the discussion here not as let's do what Colorado did because we love so much what they did. We begin it with we've got citizens who are overtaxed. We've got citizens who the average income has just decreased by $2,000, and at the same time we're top 10 for taxing in the country. And I think we cannot keep spending money in a way where people are not able to afford it. Now, back to the university. I agree. It is an absolute treasure. I agree. It's an economic, developer. It's a key ingredient in economic development in Oshkosh and in Wisconsin. Chancellor Wells is a superb leader who has many ideas about how to collaborate with businesses, match education to jobs and jobs to education, and be a part of that economic development that we need so desperately. I have a very personal connection to the university, starting back when I was 18 and taking a class at the university as a high school student. And then I have a degree from Madison, UW-Madison, a degree from UW-Milwaukee. My sons have taken several classes at the university while in high school. And I've taught in the Suzuki program at the university for over 10 years. Performed on that stage in the Arts and Communication Center numerous times, and have been involved in the university in their many community outreach sort of events as well. It's a very, very vital part of this community. I just think the question is harder than, do you support it? Yes, let's give it money. It is much more difficult than that.
Well, and that's why I say even if we've got tough decisions to make, let's at least have a plan where we want to go. I mean, I think everybody recognizes we've had some tough decisions to make at the state level. We have had to cut the university, but to have no plan seems to me to be irresponsible. And what seems even more irresponsible is to leave future funding for the decision up to a fiscal gimmick like TPA. I mean, if it is that we need to make tough decisions, let's make those tough decisions, but let's not throw our hands in the air and say, we're going to amend the Constitution. It wasn't my fault. It was the Constitution said we couldn't spend more. So, I mean, you're right. We got some big decisions to make, but let's have that discussion. Let's rely on the institutional knowledge of our leaders to make those decisions, not rely on fiscal gimmicks. I mean, all the criticisms of Tabor and TPA is that we're ultimately passing the buck, that we're not going to be responsible for our actions. And I think that's what, if we're going to make the tough decisions, let's make them.
Well, I disagree that TPA would be a gimmick. TPA would be comparable to...
and for viewers, we should mention TPA's Taxpayer Protection Act.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
The Taxpayer Protection Amendment was an offshoot of the Tabor discussion, and really it had changed so much that it shouldn't even be connected to Tabor. And I would equate it, not to a gimmick, I would equate it to a family setting a budget. The family sets the budget carefully, thoughtfully, and then of course there are huge decisions to make when one area goes over budget. Then the legislature must get together and talk about, well, what are we going to do with this dilemma?
Except the legislature or the family has amended the Constitution, so their hands are tied, and then they say, nothing we can do.
They're not tied because
we amended the Constitution. The Constitution is now changed.
If it gets to the point where the citizens of Wisconsin, with a constitutional amendment in place, feel that they cannot have the services they need within that limit, then it goes to referendum.
Right. Like they did in Colorado.